This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So we just came back from Cabo, we being my wife, my sons, and I, and we were at a real estate event retreat in Cabo, and there was a quote that just slapped me upside the head, and it has something directly to do with today's guest. And the quote was, "You are just one Google search away from being replaced as a real estate agent."
Oh, wow.
Because if somebody doesn't like you, or they're not like, if you're not delivering a high level of service, all they have to do is type in real estate agents near me, and boom, now they have a plethora of people that they can reach out to.
Right.
So with us today is Alex Dyer, and he has some great coaching and some great information on how to make yourself the agent that nobody wants to replace. And if they do want to replace their agent, they're finding you on the internet. Thanks for having us today, Alex.
Hey, thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to sharing what I've learned about being that presence of mind agent.
So what? One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show was we were standing in our beautiful office in Roseville, grabbing a cup of coffee, and you shared with me a story about how you met with Steve and helped him with his database. And I was just, wow, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. More people need this information. Could you share just briefly how you met Steve and helped him with his database, and how it sounded like he had like a shoe, like, what do the accountants call it? They call them shoebox clients, where they come with a shoebox full of receipts and are like, here, fix this. Is that kind of what happened?
Well, Steve and I have been best friends for 30 years.
Wow.
We go back that far.
Okay.
We met when we were attending Chico State back in the day. And we've followed each other's careers. And we are both now obviously at eXp. And when I started my journey down using KV Core, which is now being rebranded Bold Trail, I was sharing with him just how powerful the platform was to be able to communicate with your clients. I don't want to throw Steve under the bus, because he is a very successful agent.
Very successful.
And he has built a huge team with eXp, and I am part of that team. But he came to me, and admittedly, he said, I've never really databased. And Johnny, the interesting thing I'm finding as I'm going in and coaching more and more agents is I'm finding that some of the most successful agents out there are not good communicators in running a database.
Absolutely.
And I have a meeting coming up tomorrow with an agent who stopped me in the hall yesterday and said, "Alex, I have to start using KV Core Bold Trail. I have to start databasing, but I'm embarrassed to say I've never done it."
Yep.
And so he's going to sit with me, and I have a specific exercise I go through to start collecting that database together. But back to Steve. Steve came to me, and we've been friends forever. We're like brothers, and he is an agent who doesn't really embrace technology at the level that I do.
Very few people embrace it at the level you do.
Yes, and for whatever reason, I really just get into technology. I'm always curious. I'm always like, how can I find out how to make this work to grow?
Mm-hmm.
And so with Steve, I sat down, I went through this exercise, and where he really found traction was sitting down and using it every day to build a habit. I think he came to my house every day for 21 days straight, and he sat there, he used the platform to communicate with his database. And through that, he gained traction. He had transactions that came out of it pretty much right away.
Wow.
And anyone that knows Steve knows that he will give you the shirt off his back.
Exactly.
He wants to be everybody's hero. And when he was calling these past clients of his, they were happy to hear from him. And Johnny, when you think about it, when we're into a real estate transaction, we have this really high-level business relationship with these clients for a period of time. It could be 30, 60, 90 days. It could be up to a year. And then once it's done, what do? what do we do with that client?
It's kind of awkward, honestly, because like you get into the like you sometimes you know these people, sometimes they're friends, family members, referrals. Sometimes you don't know them from Adam, and all of a sudden you're thrust into their financial situation, their kids, their personal life, their work schedules. You can't call them between this time and this time because they're a night nurse and they're not going to be able to answer the phone. And then all of a sudden the transaction closes, they get what their home sells or they move into the new home, and then it's ghost, right? Because what we were bonding over isn't there anymore, and most agents don't know how to continue that conversation in a meaningful way, post-transaction. But that's something you help with.
Yeah, and that's a discovery that I've made because I've always had that issue, that awkwardness of, okay, I've just closed. It's not like I'm Amazon where I have multiple products I'm going to sell.
Correct. Yeah.
I just really have one product. But we've been given permission to communicate with them. And there's a great book called Permission Marketing. And it really talks about how Amazon really used selling books early on to gain permission to be able to market back to the people that bought books. And so I've read Permission Marketing, and right now I'm wrapping up my 12-week series on lead generation using the platform, and I've related it all back to permission marketing. So when you're out there as an agent and you have someone who has opted in to receive information from you, they've given you permission.
Yep.
Which, Johnny, in today's regulatory world, where we have new laws coming on the books against cold calling and spam emailing and spam texting,
yep,
that permission, as an agent, you need to really respect that and understand what that means. So within the Bold Trail CRM, you're given that permission, and now you're marketing back to them. But what are you saying? What is that messaging?
yeah.
And so we're fortunate to have Brent Gove, who brings in these huge real estate influencers, and we have our Thursday PCAR. Is it the third Thursday of the month?
Typically, yep, third Thursday of the month. Yeah.
And so what I'm doing is I'm taking those presenters and I am getting that messaging out and I'm applying it to the platform. One of the more powerful ones was Ricky Caruth. He's in the Panhandle, Florida.
Yep.
He is a mega agent, runs a huge team, and he advocates for contacting your database every Friday. Every Friday at 4:30.
Via email.
Via email.
Yep.
So that's what I've started doing. I pop onto my YouTube channel. I do a market update using some of the tools that are within the KV Core Bold Trail platform, specifically the market report. And I just pop on and just say, this is what's going on with the market.
Yep.
I put it into an email template and I send it to my database. The whole process takes me probably 45 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm able to communicate with my entire database with 45 minutes of effort.
So I love what you're doing there. So email is one form of marketing, but sometimes when people hear marketing, they think, oh my gosh, like graphic design, or what am I going to say, writing copy. I was talking with an agent yesterday, and she met somebody, I think it was at a grocery store, and they just started talking and they connected. They just randomly bumped into each other like a Trader Joe's, and they have all these things in common. They attend the same church, and turns out this person's wanting to sell their house. And they're like, yeah, absolutely, we may have an agent, but we'd be happy to interview you as well. They gave my agent the contact info, and now she's like, Johnny, what do I do? How do I follow up? I texted them once and they're not responding. And so going back to your permission-based marketing, I said, well, ask them if they would like a net sheet, how much they're going to net off the property. Ask them if they would, if they're going to buy, if they're open to some buy before you sell programs, so that way they can make a seamless transition. Like again, you have permission to contact these people. Now give them something that they want. Don't just say, hey, when can we meet?
Yeah, you're adding value as an agent.
You're adding value, but that is essentially, she's doing this. She's trying to call them, right? Because verbal communication is the best way to convey a message, because you're actively engaging with each other. But if they're not answering, she's sending these messages via text. These marketing messages, I would argue, via text, permission-based marketing messages.
Yeah. And really, it comes down to what I think is the three key principles of establishing a relationship. So in your case with that client, what she should focus on is the know, the like, and the trust.
Yeah.
Okay, so they know her, they liked her enough to give the contact information. Now it's about building that trust.
Yeah.
And going back to the platform and sending out that communication every Friday. I'm building that trust with my database. And they are becoming familiar with who I am. They know what I look like. They know what I sound like. And it was kind of funny. I was at the grocery store the other day, and someone stopped me and had a conversation about real estate. Johnny, I had no idea who this person was.
Well, there you go.
And I was a little bit embarrassed because I had to stop him and say, I'm sorry, but I'm just not placing a name with your face. And they're like, oh, well, we see you on your Facebook channel every week, because I post my same update on Facebook, on YouTube, it's on Instagram, it's on my Google business page. That sort of traction is validation for all the effort that we put in to really getting our message out there and being that trusted advisor in the real estate space.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. Somebody just stopped you randomly in the grocery store because
Exactly.
they're seeing your messaging. So people give me a hard time because I always wear the same thing, or basically the same thing. But the reason why I do it is a couple of reasons. One, I don't want to think about what I'm going to wear. There's more pressing things to think about. And two, if they see me on, the radio show or on any of those other social platforms, I'm typically wearing what they saw me, wearing online.
Smart.
And so there's this continuity, because so oftentimes you see them in there like a celebrity or somebody like somebody on the news. You see them dressed a certain way, and then you see them outside of that environment. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. And but anyways, that's one of the reasons why I do it. So that
It's
way
like
when
your uniform.
it's a uniform. So then
Yeah.
when I meet them, they're like, "Oh, you look just like." They expect it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little shorter than they expected, but I look like how
He's got the iconic glasses.
got the
Yeah.
classic. Yeah. But
That's something I should probably work on as well. I wore black for you today because
There you go.
thank you.
Johnny's
Thank
wearing
you.
black. I'll wear my black.
Yeah, you knew.
Yeah.
Hey, well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about how you've helped not only Steve, but countless other agents. One specific agent, she went from only having 13 people, right, in her database.
Yeah.
And then you helped her. And then within a matter of days, she had 2 clients that she was working with. Back after this.
Well, spring is officially here. The weather's getting better. Maybe it's finally time. You're seeing all your neighbors do it. Maybe it's finally time to put your home on the market, but you're thinking, oh my goodness, it's too much of a hassle. I don't want to go through all those open houses, showings, get my house organized, do all of those costly home repairs. Did you know there's an easier way? Just reach out to Johnny Jennings. He guarantees at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. He's done it many times. It's nothing new to him. Take advantage of it. It's simple, it's easy, it's fast. Again, 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. Why not give it a shot? All you got to do is Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.